This is episode 34 with Holly Bertone. Welcome to My Kid Cures Cancer. My name is Ryan Sternagel, former regular guy turned dad collegist, cancer coach, and health advocate. Each week we'll talk to a new expert on a particular aspect of beating cancer or human optimization to bring you one step closer on your path to true health. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now let's dive into this valuable, life-saving information which you're not going to hear about in a mainstream hospital. All right, everyone. Today we are talking about getting through conventional cancer treatment with the best possible mindset, the very real damage that conventional treatment can do without knowledge of an integrative approach, and how to pick up the pieces afterwards with someone who has and is currently living this exact situation. Holly Bertone, CNHP, PMP, runs the health and wellness website pinkfortitude.com. Holly is a breast cancer and Hashimoto's survivor and turned these two significant health challenges into a passion to help others. She inspires others with her quick wit, brutal honesty, and simple ways to be healthy in real life. Holly is a certified natural health professional, a certified essential oils coach, and is enrolled in a naturopathic doctorate program. Holly is passionate about reaching out to breast cancer and autoimmune survivors and also volunteers for organizations supporting our military veterans. Hey everyone, glad you stopped by My Kid Cures Cancer, where it is our goal to bring all sides of the discussion on how to heal cancer and be truly healthy to the same table to give you one place to tune into for the most well-rounded perspective possible. This is a show for people going through cancer, by people going through cancer, inspired by my wife Teddy and I's experience with childhood cancer, bringing our son Ryder back from a stage 4 cancer diagnosis to the happy, healthy little boy he is today. If you aren't dealing with cancer and want to keep it that way, this show will likely be very helpful to you as well. We'll get to Holly in just a minute, but before we do, as always, I do need to let you know that the information you hear on this show is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Also, as a reminder, if you are watching this on the YouTube channel, you can get it on the go on iTunes or Stitcher. And if you are listening in podcast form, do be sure to check out the My Kid Cures Cancer YouTube channel, where we post the videos of these interviews, along with a whole lot more education and inspiration to help you live your best anti-cancer life possible. And hopefully it goes without saying, but the best way to make sure you never miss any of it is to subscribe on the aforementioned platforms. All right, without further ado, here is Holly Bertone. Welcome back, everyone, to My Kid Cures Cancer. We have with us Holly Bertone. Holly, how are you? And thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate it. And I look forward to connecting with all of your viewers today. Yeah.
Well, I thought as we were talking. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, just like, last month was a big month for us. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And it seems like the more you dig into cancer, the more there's actually like multiple cancers on each month, because they can't, can't
right.
fit them all into one year. But yeah, I know, like I said, September was big for us, and I know October is big for you, and you have quite the story pertaining to breast cancer. So I was excited to get you on.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, October is a very, very big month and a very pink month. So, and I wore my pink today in honor of that. So,
although I have seen a couple, maybe you don't quite, maybe you wear pink for a little different reason than commercially.
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
I do. We can talk about that in a little bit.
Love to get into that. But yeah, I guess first and foremost, do you want to just give everyone a little bit of context and I don't know, I suppose let us know what Holly's experience with cancer is, and I guess I don't know myself. Did that lead to your background in the natural health field and whatnot, or were you kind of into all this before that and then? So yeah.
No,
there you go.
This whole kind of segue into the natural health field definitely happened because of cancer and then subsequently the Hashimoto's that I was diagnosed with. But yeah, I was, it's I'm going to start kind of in the middle, but then kind of go back to give you context. When I was diagnosed, my doctor said, and I'm in the office, and she says lightning hit because I didn't have genetics, anything like that. And at the time, it kind of made sense because you have to have something make sense. But looking back at kind of my environment and growing up, and so I was definitely a sugarholic and a junkaholic in my teens and 20s. Probably not any different than most kids. And, also at that age, you can kind of get away with it, having a high metabolism and things like that. But, growing up in a town, it was a very agricultural, agrarian kind of, town, a lot of farms, a lot of pesticides, eating a lot of junk food. I lived right down the road from 3 Mile Island for about 10 years. Using kind of mainstream foods and, products and things like that. And, that was my life. And again, just what I would consider normal, everyone's normal life, right? And in my 30s, I started racing Xterra races, which are the off-road triathlons.
Ooh, sweet.
Like Ironman, but they're off-road.
Yeah, that's high on my list. Yeah.
Yes. And I know you guys are fellow mountain bikers, and I did a lot of mountain bike racing as well. So I was really fit, and pretty much, could eat what I want because I was training all the time. So I always consider myself fit and healthy. In my late 30s, go ahead. Were you going to ask something?
No, go for it.
Oh, okay. In my late 30s, and I was doing the happy single, just being carefree and loving life. And in my late 30s, I met this gentleman named Carter, and he was a second time around for both of us, and we started dating and started living together, living in sin, and he also has a son, so kind of starting to kind of be that de facto stepmother. So everything was going well, and I woke up one morning and felt a lump, and it was just actually in a weird spot. It was like right on my side, and I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Now, mind you, I'm 38 years old. And, I always, support the pink ribbon and the breast cancer, whatever. But when it comes to self-exams or anything like that, and obviously at 38, too young for a mammogram. But I never did self-exams because I'm young and I'm healthy, and there's no way I would ever get breast cancer. So why would I do a self-exam? Like, they're all over the place, especially in October, like, do your self-exam. But, things you just don't do because you're healthy and invincible. And so I felt this lump, and I went to my primary care doctor. Fortunately, she said, she goes, it's probably nothing, but let's just get it checked out just in case. And let me pause there for a second. When I was going through treatment and even afterwards, there's so many women that I talk to who they feel a lump, they feel that something's wrong, and their doctor, oh, you're too young for breast cancer. Even today, even all the information that's out there, they say you're too young for breast cancer. And, if I could put just, kind of a plea out there for anyone who is listening, if you feel that something is wrong and that gut instinct inside of you tells you that something is wrong, something's probably wrong, and push for answers. Absolutely push for answers. Fortunately, I had a doctor who, wanted to make sure that, get some further testing just to make sure everything was fine. But there's so many women out there that their doctors just blow them off because they're young. So I went through all the testing. I did a mammogram, MRI, biopsy. Honestly, the second I felt that lump, it's kind of like I knew something was wrong, but you have that cerebral, you don't want to think cancer. You want to think of yourself as invincible. But I knew, you know what I mean? So going through the test, it's like I knew, and I'm just waiting. So So we live in the DC metro area, and we're both on the metro train on the way home. And this is August. It's my birthday. It's my 39th birthday. It's about high 80s, low 90s, typical, August day, a lot of humidity and rush hour traffic. So, 1,000,003 people up in my personal space on the train. And my phone rings, and it's my doctor's office. My doctor, who I had had for 10 years, was on vacation. So this male doctor, who I had never even heard of or had spoken with before, gets on the phone, and and I'm trying to listen, with all the people and everything like that around. And he goes, so I'm calling to let you know you have breast cancer, but don't worry, it's the good kind of breast cancer, and you're going to need to find a surgeon and get the tumor out. Do you have any questions?
It's the good kind.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Goodbye. And I'm looking for Carter on the train. He was a few up, and I just, we weren't able to connect till we got off, but I'm just like, what just happened, right? So, so I had taken down a couple numbers, and I, started making the phone calls, and, got hooked up with my, kind of surgeon who started the whole process and everything like that. But, so that was the diagnosis, which was crazy. So 2 days later, we go out to dinner for my birthday, and Carter surprised me, got down on one knee and proposed. So in 48 hours, I had, you have breast cancer and will you marry me?
And your birthday.
And my birthday, right? The diamond ring was nice. I would have preferred maybe, flowers or something for my birthday instead of cancer, but those were my presents. And that's, that's what I ran with. So yeah, pretty much that was my diagnosis, and just life has been crazy after that.
Yeah, that's funny. A couple similarities to our story, actually. It's we had to push to get our diagnosis for Ryder, like really, really hard. I had to come back a few different times, and even when we got it, went from, I think, his primary care pediatrician to a physician's assistant to a doctor, and I think it was a doctor and nurse combination who actually the nurse saw, she was a nurse in the children's oncology ward, and they were still like brushing it off, even though Ryder had this huge lump in his back, and he, he had fallen off the growth chart, and he wasn't crawling at like a year old. It was still, go home and let's see if it's still there in 6 weeks, sort of thing. So we certainly always try to tell that, preach that from the rooftops or whatever. It's just, if you feel like something's wrong, something's, you need to get that resolved, definitely.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
and then also Ryder's diagnosis was just, his birthday and my birthday are just a few days apart, and that was actually right before our birthdays as well. So
I was going to say, because he was diagnosed right around his first birthday, right?
Yeah, it was 11 days before his first birthday,
Okay.
and maybe 6 days before my birthday. So,
Wow.
yeah, spent both of our birthdays inpatient in the children's oncology ward. It's not the best birthday there either, but yeah. That being said, so what exactly did treatment bring you? And I know you kind of brought you brought a good attitude towards it, and you have a good attitude looking back on it. And I suppose I'd just like to hear what that year was like, and how you kind of managed
Sure.
through it.
So the treatment, and it took about a month for my doctors. I was working with a team of a surgeon, an oncologist, and a radiation oncologist. And it took them about a month to figure out the kind of standard course of treatment for me. They ran some additional tests, and I kind of fell in the middle of, what my treatment should be based on, the tumor. I was ER, PR positive, HER2 negative. Anyone in the breast cancer world knows what that means. But
I have trouble keeping track of them.
in layman's terms, I had the good kind of cancer, as the first doctor said. I wouldn't call any kind of cancer good, but my tumor was lazy. So I am very fortunate that to have had a cancer diagnosis, to have a lazy tumor, a non-fast, a slow-growing tumor, I should say. So we finally agreed on, and when you hear that diagnosis, and I can't obviously only speak for myself, but all you want is that thing out of you. And, for me, I'm a type A personality, always succeeded in everything I've done. It's like, okay, let's get this thing out. Let's thermonuclear devastation, get this thing out. Right. And, I trusted 100% in the doctors, and, I asked a lot of questions, and I was participatory in the conversations, but at the end of the day, I trusted their best opinion. And, I said that I wanted the most aggressive treatment that they felt was effective, because I not only wanted it out, but I didn't want it coming back. And this is coming from a place of, again, just fear and shock, and not necessarily being informed and educated. So that was where I was at. So we went through a pretty aggressive treatment. I had a lumpectomy, so they removed somewhere about between a third and a half on this side, and I didn't do any reconstruction. And then I went through chemotherapy, and then radiation. So it was a pretty aggressive treatment. And all the while, we're trying to plan a wedding, and, realizing during, cancer treatment that, and again, it was second time around for both of us. So, the big traditional wedding was already out of the picture. And then you add cancer into that, we just decided on, going to the justice of the peace. But, that engagement year was a lot of hospital visits, a lot of being sick, a lot of tears, a lot of just having our lives thrown upside down. And, we missed out on that kind of lovey-dovey engagement year. I'm trying to be a sexy fiance, and, trying to be beautiful for my new, soon to be husband. And I'm walking around, I'm lopsided, I'm bald, I smell like chemo funk. I mean, the just funk smell that comes out of your pores from chemotherapy. And I have the walking farts, like a 90-year-old grandmother. So, so I'm trying to be sexy, and it was impossible. And, my self-esteem was pretty much at rock bottom. I don't know. It's just, I can't explain it. Like, breast cancer takes away, as a female, your hair, your breast, your fertility. It takes away everything that society defines as, being a woman and being female. So I kind of had to, really redefine what that beauty was, kind of redefine that self-esteem. And also we learned to laugh, because we found that laughter really helped. And it wasn't that, and I still, to this day, I'm very irreverent when it comes to cancer, because it's like, okay, you got nothing on me. I can laugh in your face, and I'm better than you. Like, I just have that attitude. So when we laugh about cancer, it's not that I'm, making fun of anyone going through it. It's just that was our coping mechanism, and that just kind of how we got through. So when I'm bald, we came up every day was a different nickname. So my personal favorite was Dog with Mange, because when I lost my hair, yeah, that was my favorite. So when I lost my hair, it was still kind of like kind of clumpy.
Yeah.
Until Carter really shaved it down. Actually, I lost my hair Thanksgiving morning. We were up at grandma's, and so yeah, his son, my soon-to-be stepson, was I think 7 at the time, and yeah, so she's shaving my head and he's running around. It was pretty crazy. So yeah, so then I had these like pockets of hairs coming out of my head, and so yeah, so that was dog with mange. But the one that stuck was coconut head, because I was bald and had these little like hairs kind of coming out. So yeah, we did everything we could to laugh. But oh, go ahead.
Oh, just yeah, you certainly develop kind of a weird sense of humor going through cancer. That's
Very weird sense of humor, yes. Very weird, yes. But but the other thing too, I think was it was it was about a month of just really like epic crying, tears, like just going through that grieving process of my life is completely different from here on out. But at some point, I had this peace from God that, and I know where you guys come from too. I had this peace of just this peace, and I knew that having cancer was God's gift and God's blessing. And I know that probably shocks a lot of people when I say that, because, I wouldn't wish cancer on anyone, but I knew, I just had this peace that this is all happening for a greater cause and a greater purpose. And I didn't know what it was at the time, but I just kind of hung on to that. And that's, between the laughter and, my faith and just this peace, I think that's kind of what got us through that year. And yeah, and we got, just kind of to tie up there, we so cancer treatment ended middle of March, and we got married 10 days later.
nice.
So yeah, I wore a wig. I don't know. I went out and bought a wig. I wanted to wear a wig on my wedding day, but am I allowed to show one of my books? Because I have the picture on the book.
Yeah, please do.
So the picture that's gone viral is it's on the cover of one of my books, The Coconut Head's Cancer Survival Guide, but it's of Carter kissing my bald head on our wedding day before I put my wig on. And it was just a very sweet, poignant moment that, his mother happened to fortunately capture. And just, one of our favorite memories of learning that love is not always about, the happiness and the lovey-dovey, that it's something much, much deeper. And, the for better and the for worse, and the, in sickness and in health, we really learned a lot that year. So.
Do you, I don't know, do you have any, like, are you able to go in depth at all on any, I don't know, strategies or things that you kept coming back to lift your spirits and keep yourself positive, that sort of thing? And a lot of people like focus on funny movies or going to comedy shows or I don't know. Did you have anything like that you really gravitated towards?
A couple things. So I'm working full time, and, taking care of my new family, and going to chemotherapy, I kind of like considered it my day at the spa. So, yeah, one of our friends actually gave us a, like a little, and this was 2010. So we didn't have the phones like we did today. But someone had given me a DVD player. So I took along Breakfast at Tiffany's, and that was my go-to movie. My stepson, would, because I'm on the couch and I'm sick and I'm not feeling good. And my stepson was 7, and he'd crawl up on the couch beside me, and he's like, "Stepmom, let's watch SpongeBob, because SpongeBob will make you feel better." And, obviously not my first choice in TV shows, but it's such a stupid cartoon, and just watching it with him, it really did make me feel better, But the other thing too is when I was growing up, my mother was diagnosed with Addison's disease when she was pregnant with me. And Addison's is a very rare adrenal autoimmune condition. And the doctors gave her like 10 years to live, and she's getting ready to turn 72. So she pretty much just was like, yeah, whatever. I've got a life to live, and you can't tell me I can't. So, but her life mantra, watching her every day, sick or not sick, her life mantra was to live life to the fullest. And, she said, every day was about having fortitude. And growing up, I didn't understand what that meant. So when, going through the whole cancer diagnosis and treatment and everything, I learned what fortitude meant very quickly. I don't think the cancer itself hurts. It's just all the treatment that, kills you from the inside out. So not just going through chemo, but then, like the Neulasta shots. So you've got pain that is just, it's the pain starts in your bones and just comes out like slowly, so it's a pain I can't even describe, and just crying myself to sleep. And I don't know, just knowing, like I said, having that peace and that faith in God, and just, hearing my mom's voice that, you've got to have fortitude to get through this. And, and my husband's a Green Beret. And I told him, he's not Mr. like fluffy, he's very military. And I told him, I said, I need to have life as normal as humanly possible. So, he would come home from work and say, "What's for dinner?" And I know that sounds like everyone's like, "I can't believe he's not taking care of you." I'm like, no, you don't understand our dynamic. That was him taking care of me, because I needed my life to be as normal as humanly possible. I get up on a Saturday and I go grocery shopping, and I would literally be bent over the cart, the shopping cart going down the store, because I needed my life to be normal, and this cancer thing to just be, oh yeah, I just have to get through it. So yeah, there was a lot of different coping mechanisms. I think laughter was my favorite though, because, it just made me feel good.
Yeah, no, I like the fortitude thing. That's really cool. And, by the way, everyone, Pink Fortitude is Holly's website. She's got a lot of good additional, you go into a lot of this stuff in detail. You got some really neat stuff on there. What do you do now to kind of, you wanted chemo and radiation, the whole 9 yards, as hard as you could to make sure it came back. I'm sure you've learned a thing or two since then. Knowing what you know about natural health now, how has your attitude shifted towards keeping the cancer away, and what does your life look like now to keep the cancer from coming back?
It's completely, and I always thought I was healthy, but there's a difference between, kind of, we talk about the standard American diet. I always kind of said I had more of the standard American healthy diet, but not so healthy, right? And learning that, because I'm petite and I wasn't overweight doesn't mean that, you should eat whatever you want. So, I completely shifted. So a year after my treatment ended, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. I was actually not recovering from cancer. And again, the doctor saying, "Oh, your body's been through a lot. No, something's wrong." So I pushed and pushed and pushed, finally got diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune thyroid disorder, which, I don't know, I haven't had the time to research the correlation, if there is any between the two, but I know that there is a lot of people who have both. A lot of people who think that, autoimmunity is end stage, is a piece of, the cancer too. So, I personally believe, without any scientific, proof, that there is a huge correlation between the two. So I'm dealing with this, Hashimoto's on top of cancer recovery. And it took a few years. Just again, when you don't know what you don't know that you don't know it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So, um, so I didn't know that my diet was that bad. I didn't know that, I just didn't know what to do. I just thought that what I was doing was how I was supposed to be and how I was supposed to feel. And, I finally just kind of started reading some books and some literature and articles and listening to podcasts. And it was like lightning hit. Now, that time it really did hit that, I realized that, okay, I need to clean up my diet and I need to clean up my environment. So my diet went first. It was gluten, which was, primarily to help with the autoimmune. It was highly recommended to eliminate gluten, but then also the processed food and sugar. And interestingly, just in that week of eliminating those three things, the candida from the sugar just came out of my, like, just like a rash. It was crazy. I was like, wow. And I didn't even think that I ate that much sugar. So I'm like, I can't even imagine like what other toxins are going on in my body. So I just started like little by little eliminating things in my diet that as I ate them were causing me distress. So, so now I eat a completely clean diet, um, minimal to, I try not to eat processed food. And if I do, it's very minimal, but as much organic, non-GMO as humanly possible. A lot of just, and I'm not a huge veggie person. So I do a lot of smoothies and a lot of creative cooking. I'm not the person that, oh, yes, lovely steamed broccoli, yum. That's not me, right? Asparagus, yeah, that's not me either. So I had to be really creative in learning how to eat my vegetables with like different salads and, incorporating them into different recipes. And, like I'll make cookies, but I'll make them with, zucchini that's organic and non-GMO and, pumpkin and things like that. And then I will make, like I said, a lot of smoothies as well. And then I also decided to eliminate pretty much all of the environmental toxins. I mean, as much as you can, as much as you can have control over it in our home. And I started with our cleaning products. And it wasn't like one day I just, put half of our house out on the curb and started new. I mean, it was as one product ended, I upgraded with, an all natural product. And I actually learned how to make a lot of my own cleaning products. So the cleaning products that I buy are all natural, but they are, very rare because I make the majority of them myself. But then I actually have a lot of the kind of DIY recipes for the cleaning products on my website as well. And then I do a lot of all natural, kind of health and beauty products. So, as we got rid of shampoo, we have now all natural shampoo that's, minus all of the kind of toxic ingredients. So, it was a huge shift in our house. And, it's funny too, because, now, my stepson is a teenager and, having, my husband, Mr. Military, and a teenager in the house, they have actually adopted, to the new lifestyle. I mean, they really enjoy it. They, I was getting some resistance at first. Change is never easy on anyone, but, they actually really, they like the food that I make. They like the new products. Here's your new toothpaste. Here's your new soap. Here's your new deodorant. And, the reaction is, hey, I actually like this a little bit more. So, even a Green Beret can adopt to a, kind of a little more of an organic, crunchy lifestyle. So I was like, if he can adopt, anyone can adopt.
That's good. Yeah, no, that's,
And
go ahead.
oh, sorry. And just to kind of put the explanation point on it is that, I kept learning and the thing that really hit, and I had read this and heard this over and over again, was that, cancer doesn't just happen, right? It grows. And what you want to do is make sure that your body is as inhospitable to that cancer coming back as humanly possible. And of anything that I have learned over the last few years, that's been like the number one kind of mantra going forward is that everything falls around that, is that I want to make sure, not just for myself, but for my family, I want to make sure that, my body is producing nothing but goodness. And everything that I put into my body and surrounding, with my environment is nothing but goodness. And, things that are not just going to keep the cancer away, but things that are going to, help combat it as well. So, for both me and my family, it was like we had our mattress for, I don't know, 10 years or something like that. It was time to upgrade. I'm like, guess what? We're getting an organic mattress. And guess what? It was $500 cheaper than the regular mattress we were looking at. So, it's buying organic and, making all natural choices doesn't have to be expensive. It can be the same. It can be less. You can make your own food and it costs a lot less than going, out to dinner. So, we really learned how to kind of do everything that we could, make our own things and make some good decisions.
Yeah, no, on the expensive note, it's funny. I feel like we kind of go through this wave of when we get into all this healthy stuff is at first you go out and like buy just the pre-made organic everything, and the natural cleaning products and the natural shampoo and the natural soap and blah blah blah, and then you start realizing, oh wait, these are all like very simple ingredients. I can just make these myself, and
Yeah.
yeah, then it actually becomes cheaper because you're not paying for the labor, and yeah, so it's good stuff. And yeah, that's also the other neat thing when people do come around to this lifestyle, especially going through cancer. Like you said, it can be a blessing because now you yourself are not only healthier and better for it, but your husband and stepson are too. So that's
and that's how the website kind of came to be as well. I actually, a classmate of mine, friend from childhood, was diagnosed with brain cancer at the same time I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And we kind of started this. We called ourselves the Dueling Banjos, from the movie. And so it was we would send out emails and kind of blogs and things like that and it was like this battle of who could be funnier,
Hmm.
and we had the same friends and kind of the same family members and things like that that were cheering us on. And he was the one that actually kind of encouraged me to really start the website and kind of put this into something bigger than what it was. So that was my humble beginnings, and then it just really turned and morphed in the last 2 years or so. Was really when it made a turn as I started going through, like I said, all the articles and podcasts. I realized, I should be getting credit for this. So I enrolled in a naturopathic school. I have my certified natural health professional designation, and I'm halfway through a naturopathic doctor degree. So, so my website then kind of made that shift. So I focus on, cancer prevention and survival, and then also the autoimmune piece, but then just fun, healthy living, and inspirational articles as well. So, so it's not just, me, myself, and my family, but kind of that when I talked about that peace, the peace that I had from God and the kind of blessing, I knew that, I wake up every day like this is my passion, and I know that is, my gift from God to serve others, and to kind of to be that source and that inspiration for others who are going through the same thing, and to help them kind of clean up their lives as well, to help them so that they don't have to go through the things that I went through.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's really cool. And are you, speaking of things you're going through, are you still currently going through like residual effects of the treatment? Are you still having to manage that type of stuff? And where are you at with all that today?
Oh yeah. So and I can't pinpoint what's the chemo and what's the Hashis, but the so the Hashis happened a year after chemo, or I wasn't getting healthy. I was diagnosed a year. It probably happened soon thereafter, but um, I I was able to kind of clean up through my diet and through my environment. I'd say probably about 80% of a lot of the kind of latent symptoms that I was going through. But I still struggle with a lot of brain and memory issues. You know, um, d- yeah, the cognition sometimes is just scary. The things that I can't remember, don't remember. You know, and I know people my age say, "Oh, you know, you're just getting old." I'm like, "No, you're there. This is a little deeper than that." And the chronic fatigue is just still horrific. I mean, I take a nap every single day. It's in my calendar. I get my notification. It's nap time. So, you know, those are two of the biggest pieces that are still latent. You know, if not from chemo, at least chemo induced. You know, that I'm dealing with. So, and I'm working with, you know, really good naturopathic oncologists now. Actually, Dr. Heather Paulson. I don't know if you've had her on the show, but yeah.
Yeah,
So
not yet. She's on the
uh,
list. Yeah.
yeah, she needs to be on the list. She's amazing, and yeah, so I'm working with her, and she's doing really well. Excuse me. Sorry, I can grab a water.
Yeah, no problem. Um, yeah, so I guess on that note, knowing what you know now and going through, you know, what you are going through now, is there, yeah, would you have approached the diagnosis differently?
Absolutely. You know, whenever it's such an individual decision, it really is. And the second someone's diagnosed with cancer, everyone's an expert. So, to anyone who's going through it, you know, this is your life and your decision. Um, and people need to respect that. For me, if, you know, God forbid I was ever faced with that again, I would make completely different choices. I would first look at more naturopathic approach via, you know, like a lot of the things that, you know, you guys are doing with Ryder. I mean, looking at, nutrition, a lot of juicing, you know, a lot of infrared sauna therapy, you know, a lot of supplements, things like that. Um, you know, I would work with a naturopathic oncologist. I would go that route first, and you know, if at that point things did not progress better, then I would, you know, look at the more, you know, kind of traditional methods. But no, I would not. I think the fear would still be there, but I think it would be a different level. It would be more of an empowered feeling, you know, that I know how I can kick it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. For me, it's just knowing that there's always something new to try. Like, you
Yeah.
know, it can be overwhelming, all the information out there once you really start digging into the holistic side of things. But at the same time, I mean, it was a lot to dig through for me early on. But it was always comforting just knowing that there's a lot out there, and if you
Yeah.
know if
And
something's not working right away, you can completely pivot or just change directions altogether, and you know find a whole new thing that hopefully does work. Yeah,
yeah, there's so many resources out there, and I mean, you know, the things that you guys are doing, you know, I mean, the Gerson therapy is pretty hardcore, but you know, allegedly it works. You know, Chris work and you know his work with Chris Beats Cancer, and just you know a lot of different programs out there that are just um, it, you know, we have options. There are options. It's not that chemo is not the only option for someone going through cancer.
yeah, and we're certainly, you know, at least on this show, certainly not completely anti-conventional
Right.
treatment by any means, but yeah, just knowing all of your options and bringing
Yeah.
in all of all available resources is
Right. And like I said, I mean, I would go that route first. If it didn't work, you hook me up
yeah,
to chemo again. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm against chemo. I'm just saying I want to try the approach more naturally as well. The other thing is that, you know, going through chemo, you have this like it's basically like having a really bad case of the flu is kind of how it makes you feel. Um, and then your taste buds get all weird and you get this like weird metal taste in your mouth. And for me, I had these really bizarre cravings. The only two foods that I could eat during chemo were Ore-Ida French fries. the crinkle fries. The crinkle fries, okay?
It's got to be the crinkles. Yeah.
Got to be the crinkles and Dairy Queen blizzards. So that's what I lived on. Now, again, the doctors are like, just keep your weight up because they didn't want you to lose a lot of weight because they wanted you to be healthy so that you could come in for your next, cycle. Well, and then of course they're like, oh, try to eat healthy. But the biggest thing is they wanted you to like keep your weight on. So, for me, I'm like, okay, that's all I could stomach. But at the same time, again, knowing what I know now, I think it's important that, if you are going through chemo, to really arm yourself with those, nutritional choices that are going to make your body a cancer fighting machine. And, again, that's, hindsight, you don't know what you don't know. I was just trying to survive on a daily basis. And you think of anyone having a bad day, do you go for the ice cream or do you go for the salad? If you're having a bad day, I mean, come on, really. So it's a lot easier said than done. I know that. But again, there's definitely, we have choices and we have information that we put out there. So.
Sure do. And I suppose lastly, so again, it's October. There's pink everywhere. You're wearing pink. Your website is Pink Fortitude, but as far as the charity fundraiser drive goes, I just saw an interesting post on your site about I forget what the title was, but something to do with, you might have different thoughts on
something about me hating pink ribbons or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. What? Talk to us about the whole, charity for breast cancer, and maybe where you would have folks spend their money if they felt like, contributing to such things.
Well, and here's the thing is that there's a lot of really good organizations out there, but the ones that make the most noise are the ones that get the most press. And from everything that I've been able to research, a lot of their money goes towards executive salaries and marketing and advertising, and it doesn't go to the breast cancer patients or survivors. And my whole kind of thought on the whole pink ribbon is, if you want to buy a pink ribbon something, just for solidarity, say, hey, I support breast cancer, my grandmother just got diagnosed or my sister just got diagnosed or whatever, by all means buy the pink ribbon product for solidarity. But understand that your money may or may not be going to where you want it to go. So if you really want the money to go, look at your local charities, and that's always the best place to start. Start at your hospital, your breast cancer center. Look at your local charities and find out which organizations. I mean, there's so many women who are going through treatment who can't afford to pay their bills. They can't afford the treatment. They can't afford their electric bill, because, maybe they're out of work or whatever. So a lot of these organizations help to offset that, to help with their families and things like that. I mean, even that, is better than this like big bucket of research. Or, look at organizations that are focused on prevention. It just be informed, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And, and I have pink ribbon products, I'm not saying I'm against them. I'm just saying, I bought them knowing full well that I'm buying the product, not necessarily I'm supporting breast cancer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, as, someone going through cancer, it does kind of drive you crazy seeing all this about the cure this, the cure that, and, knowing that we've been talking about the cure for, I don't know what, 50 years now.
Forever. You're right.
And it's certainly hasn't seemed to really have been helping anyone up until now, and it's certainly not helping me going through it. So yeah, it always, like you said, you don't know what you don't know, but every once in a while you'd hear something about, we just made a donation in your honor to, so-and-so charity that's looking for the cure. And it's like, well, I've got a pretty good idea of how I would use that money for ourselves right now, but
right.
Yeah.
And, and my company, Pink Fortitude, sponsors two local organizations, Tiger Lily and the National Breast Center Foundation. And we host a fundraiser every February in my home. It's called Peace, Love, and Chocolate, and we've got like 100 women all dressed in pink. Again, it's not, I don't hate the color pink. It was just more of a, concept, right? But yeah, so it's like the entire house is decorated in pink. Everyone dresses up in pink. I make all the food myself. It's all healthy, even healthy chocolates. And, we have this big fundraiser to support the two local charities. So yeah, just, keep in mind, do your research, and kind of keep in mind that if you actually do want your money to go to help someone who's going through breast cancer treatment, look at your local charities and ask the questions, ask to get some information about the charities.
Very good, Holly. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. I always wrap up with a couple questions. If you,
Okay.
and I'm sure you put a little bit of thought into, well, both of them actually. If you had to boil everything you knew down into 3 golden rules, and those golden rules would be helping you to stay healthy and disease-free, or become healthy and disease-free if that's what you needed to do, what would those rules be?
Let's see. Number one is self-care. That's one big thing that I preach because, and typically as women, we take care of everyone else. We forget to take care of ourselves. So, and going through, 2 chronic illnesses, I learned a lot about self-care that, I can't hold it all together all the time. As a type A person, it's kind of tough to take a step back. But my life definitely improved once I made some pretty major changes that, were in favor of taking care of my health first and foremost. Self-care, absolutely number one. Number two, and we kind of talked about this earlier, is fight for your health. If you're not getting the answers that you want, if you feel that something's wrong, fight for your health. If you're not going to fight for your health, no one's going to fight for you. You're the only you have, so you have to stay healthy. And don't take no for an answer. I just had a conversation with someone yesterday that, I was so proud of her because, she kept hearing no, 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 and she finally pushed until she got a yes. And it was an extremely difficult, journey for her to get to the treatment that she needed, with her particular ailment. But I was so proud of her. And number 3, just laugh and hug your loved ones. I think there's so much going on in the world today that we forget to laugh, we forget to have fun, and we also forget how short life really is and, how precious life is. So those would be my 3 golden rules.
Those are good ones. Those are real good ones. And lastly, if you just had any kind of final thought or sentiment for anyone going through cancer right now, that'd be a nice way to take us out.
Sure. You're stronger. You're stronger than you think you are, and you can get through this. Cancer will just take you to the core and take you to a place that no one should have to go to, but you can do this, and just stay beautiful inside and out, because beauty isn't made by, artificial things like, hair and surgeries and things like that. Beauty comes from your heart and what's inside.
Beautiful. Thank you, Holly. Do you want to just kind of recap for everyone where they can find all things Holly?
Absolutely.
If they want to stay up with you?
pinkfortitude.com. And we have an entire place on the website dedicated to all things cancer articles and resources and books and all kinds of things like that. So I look forward to connecting with everyone there and connecting with all your viewers.
Appreciate the time, Holly. You have yourself a good one.
Thank you, and thank you again for having me on the show.
Bye. There you go, everybody. This, I think, was a really good reminder that you don't know what you don't know until you know it, and it's never too late to start making the best possible decisions for your life and your health. I really hope you found some inspiration from this episode. If you did and know someone who could use it, please share it with them. As always, you can find the download information, the YouTube video, and links to all resources mentioned at mykidcurescancer.com/Holly-Bertone. Bertone is spelled Bertone. Speaking of never being too late to start making the best possible choices for your health, be sure, if you have not already, to pick up the Healthy Home Checklist and start making changes one by one to the environment that your family spends the majority of their life in, and make it the most non-toxic possible place it can be. I guarantee you will find quite a few blind spots once you start going through it, and you can obtain that at mykidcurescancer.com/healthy-home. Lord willing, we'll see you next week with Casey Krejci, where we'll be talking about the anti-cancer power of superfoods. Music was provided by the Fat Rat and the Tasty Network, and all editing was done by the one and only Teddy Sternagel. Before I go, of course, the most important thing I need to tell you is if you are going through cancer, to just keep going. This is Ryan Sternagel, signing out for now. God bless and God.